Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. As I'm recording this video, this is your guy, Turgon the Wise, aka Turukano the Wise, coming at you with a new video today. And I owe everyone an apology. It is way past due for me to do one of these things. Just been real busy. Went on vacation for a little while, got back, had a mountain of work to climb through, and the game peak keeps me a little bit busy too, as does my family and my home. So appreciate everyone's patience. And it's been so long since I've made one of these that some people were like reaching out to me, like, "Hey, when are you going to make your next video?" Um, so I really, really appreciate those kind words. People reaching out, um, complimenting the way that I do this, as basic as I do. No music, no nothing. I got nothing fancy going on. It's just me and my potato PC here. And so today is my season update. It's probably going to be my final season update, to be honest, on my 15th season playing Lord of the Rings Rise to War. I just wanted to start off by showing, like, I've been busy this season. It's been a very eventful season. There's a lot of nuance to discuss. There's a lot of things from both a systemic as well as a human perspective that I'd like to at least uh, provide some transparency around and comment towards, and just my general perspective on things for whatever it's worth. Um, I call myself Torocano the Wise, but I am not a genius by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a know-all. I'm always learning and trying to improve upon my knowledge. And I'm always learning, not only from like a knowledge perspective, like like facts and things like that, but also like grow and evolve as a human being, and with a sense of where to kind of draw the line when you're being pushed, and like a sense of like feeling empathy towards others simultaneously um, while you're being pushed. So there's a lot of nuance to discuss, and I want to first, before I really go into anything, just say that I'm not pointing any fingers at anyone, and I'm not making this video. I'm not trying to call anyone out or expose anyone or make anyone look bad. I'm not trying to absolve myself of my role in the outcome of what sequence of events have occurred during the course of this season. I'm not trying to downplay or minimize that, because I talk with people, people talk with me, and not necessarily in like a private way. It's usually in our channels that we create between the teams. So to be transparent, there's nothing not transparent happening, at least from from me. I just, even if I wanted to go that route, like I said at the beginning of this video, I've just been really busy in real life. So that's one of the reasons why I do think, if I was going to point the blame finger at anyone for how things have transpired this season, the first person I would point the finger is at myself. And that's just who I am as a person. Whenever I'm not wholly happy with the outcome of something, whether it's a concert that I perform with the trumpet, or work that I'm doing for my job, or playing this game, or anything, like how I manage a conflict with my wife or my son, or another friend. Like these are aspects of life that everyone, I think, goes through, and I think it's important to always continue learning and growing and evolving emotionally as a person. I think that takes a lot of emotional intelligence to do. So at any rate, now that I've gone through that long-winded diatribe that is probably more so just a rambling rant, this is the map. And there's three predominant kingdoms. I'm just going to kind of start at level 0 here, And so there's three primary kingdoms, although you see five different colors on the map. You've got the light blue here, that's Utes. You've got purple, that is Hack and Demi. Demi is kind of a team of folks that were cut by the Red Kingdom here, gods. I don't know if cut's the right word, but they didn't make the big team for whatever reason. Maybe they weren't active enough or strong enough. I don't know. That's their business. I'm just speculating. But they have a relationship. That's what's important that I'm trying to convey here. So that that Purple Kingdom, it's there and it's not going anywhere. There's not a whole lot happening with it. They're not like a superpower by any stretch of the imagination. Not to insult that kingdom in any way. They're very fine people on both sides. Anyway, so then there's this red kingdom down here, which I believe is SPRT or where is it? That's the pin. I don't want the pin. I want the keep. Give me the keep. Give me the keep. Barador is owned by Sport, SPRT, and they've been kind of going at it down here with LCDR, and that's kind of an interesting sequence of events because in the beginning of the season, these are all a bunch of like French teams, and they came in together, and I think they were going to form one kingdom, but then I don't know what's happened since then because, to be perfectly honest, like I said several times now, I've been really busy. I haven't paid attention to what's happened with that kingdom. Um, but they're not like I'm kind of walking through the purple and the red first because they're not really playing any sort of a role as it relates to the outcome of who wins the server. Um, no, they're not involved with Dol Guldur, the Ring, or anything like that. And I introduced our kingdom first as the Blue Kingdom, and then the Red Kingdom is Gods and Eilil, two very two storied fellowships. We are Utes, and we also have Sela with us. Just to give you guys a little bit of background, Sela is an Asian team that used to be a very, very powerful team, but since 2.0, I think it's fair to say that they've lost a lot of their player base. They started the season with I think something like 36 players, and then there was some other like fellowships, casual fellowships, part-time players on these teams that were kind of like nipping at our safe farm in the back here. And when we brought Sela into our kingdom, because they originally spawned over here in Ered Mithrin, we brought them over and they started absorbing some of the active players from these other small teams out west, and now I think they're even maybe like 90 to 100 strong. I don't know if all 100 are active. I kind of doubt it. Like I said, a lot of these players that they picked up are kind of part-time players or players that haven't played a whole bunch of seasons and are just getting their feet under them, learning the game and whatnot. So really, like Sela has been great to work with, and I appreciate you guys. Shout out to SBC Moon. And that's been our kingdom. That's kind of the story there. Gods and Eilil formed later on. I think they might have actually even formed after we did with Sela. Because we knew it was happening, but there's like there's always this matter of logistics that has to occur. So at any rate, and then there's the Green Kingdom down here, which is Det and Dobie. Det has also gone by the team name of Bank. Their leader is All Things Middle Earth. Shout out to All Things Middle Earth, and shout out to our friends over in Dobie, Yurdi, and King Under the Mountain. And then also I wanted to shout out to Ogre as well. And then our friends over with Gods. I give you guys shout outs pretty much every video um, since last season. But good old Aries, Reese, Hazy stuff, Odin. And then I also want to do some shout outs to Bolg and Simon over with Eilil. So that's really been the cocktail, and it's been kind of our three big kingdoms. And here, before I kind of move forward with more of like the human side, the people side of the sequence of events, um, something that I have learned this season is that this game does not support three kingdoms fighting for the ring. So you can see what's happening here. I'll come back to this later. Let's go to Dol Guldur. And before I explain everything that happened there, I'm just going to purely show you why ring fights are not possible with more than two teams. You would think here by Dol Guldur, there's kind it's a big box in the center of an area. You would think there would be like, more springs. There's one spring. You can only make fellowship fortresses on a spring. In case anybody watching this video is not aware of that, you can only make a fellowship fortress on a mystic spring. Those are the only two that are by Dol Guldur. That's it. You would think that they would put another one like maybe somewhere up here, and then another one maybe like to the south. Cause like, why wouldn't you want four kingdoms fighting for the ring at once? Why does it have to be binary like that? Furthermore, even in a binary scenario, four is binary because you can have two kingdoms allied wanting to fight two other allied kingdoms. So you could stick another Mystic Spring down here. So there should be the ability to make four fellowship fortresses by Dol Guldur. That is on the developers. Um, quite honestly. And it's a new problem to have because this is the first season where the developers have implemented this rule that basically says if you are going to be able to attack any significant structure, a keep, what Dol Guldur, whatever, not crossings, that's different. But passes, you need a fellowship fortress within a 15 tile range. That's not huge, guys. That's really small. It kind of sucks. I don't like this change, and I think a lot of people probably agree with me, because it really, really restricts, you know, which and how many keeps you can attack and your timing, and it makes it very easy to defend a keep because all you got to do is blow up their fellowship fortress and then they can't hit it. And if you already own the territory, it takes 24 hours to build a fortress in an enemy occupied territory. It's nonsense. It's crazy. It's in my opinion, personally and professionally, from a designer standpoint, it's just not. It's not a good user experience, and I hope that they're considering strongly making a change to that because, quite frankly, having this dynamic added to the game makes it really, really boring. It's really boring and really dull. And I understand the intent behind it. They're trying to make it so that a season can't be over by like day 20 or day 25, or makes it harder to do that. But day 10 can't do it anymore at all. Like there's just no way. But I think they've taken it a few notches too far, and it's bad. Like this is bad. Like they should reduce. I think they need to take the requirement to have a fellowship fortress within range of the keep in order to attack the keep. That needs to be taken out. I liked it better when it was just like how it was last season, where you needed a fort. A fort needed to be touching. You only needed one fort, and then anyone from your warband or fellowship could take could attack and could capture the keep once the siege rating reaches zero, all the armies are dead, all that stuff. So I would like to see them return to something like that, but I understand the intent, and maybe there's another solution that'll make it a little bit better. But I felt like last season, capturing keeps and fighting for keeps and defending territories and attacking territories was pretty balanced, with the sole exception of the 10-minute timer to take a tile, which they changed. It's 5 minutes now. It takes 5 minutes for you to occupy a tile in enemy land, or maybe it's 6, whatever it is. Like it's not 10, and that was a good change. But this 24-hour fortress in enemy territory thing is absurd, and I I hope that others would agree with me that it needs to go. It's a terrible. So those are kind of my two systemic gripes, pieces of feedback for the development team. Is they need to make it so that Dol Guldur can be attackable by more than two fellowships or kingdoms or warbands, whatever it may be, and um, they need to just flat out get rid of the whole fortress needing to be within a 15 tile range of a keep in order for you to be able to attack it. It's crazy. Honestly, I think from a systemic perspective, those two pieces really have made this season boring from a gameplay perspective. Now, turning to the people perspective, it's a different story. And before I do that, I just want to show you guys real quick. We have exactly 2 weeks. Oh, this isn't good. we have we have a little bit less than 2 weeks until the season ends. It'll probably be next Thursday or next Friday. It's Friday the 19th. Unfortunately, I guess due to some sort of an update not completing on my BlueStacks version of the game here, you can't read any of this unless you can read this language, which I cannot. But yeah, we have about 2 weeks left, 13 days, 2 weeks. You never know what that timer could pop up at any given moment. And kind of what happened, as you would expect would happen with Three Kingdoms. And anyone who's watching this who is trying to create a coordinated server and plan ahead and try to get people involved, I just want to highly recommend don't go with Three Kingdoms. Wait until the next sign up so you have at least four kingdoms, because then you've got some semblance of balance. Having two strong kingdoms or four strong kingdoms. And if you're really a great organizer, go for eight. But I think 6 and 3 are bad numbers because it's going to leave somebody on the side, you know? And it's not fun. It's not fun for anyone when you're facing a 2v1 scenario. And no matter how hard you try from a human element, it's really, really hard to facilitate a sustained 1v1v1. It's just, it's not going to happen. So eventually, some sort of a deal is going to get struck or something's going to happen, and it'll end up being a 2v1. It happened pretty much to everyone on the server invariably at some point for some period of time. So just to kind of provide some background, we came into the server and basically the rules, the pre agreed upon rules where we were going to do free for all, and we were going to fight towards the center of the map and not really attack anyone's spawn region, their spawn farm. And some things happened where that pretty quickly got changed. I walked through the different teams in the Three Kingdoms, which is 6 teams. So if it was a free for all, it would be 1v1v1v1v1v1, and it's not. It's 2v2v2. So by virtue of all of the teams grouping up in forming these Three Kingdoms, we kind of went against the free for all mindset. But I think, to be fair, and anyone listening to this would probably immediately say, well, did you really expect the free for all to last that long? And the answer is no. And I'm pretty sure that we built, we had some conversation that basically said the free for all is just a start, and we'll make adjustments as the server goes on. And I think organically that occurred. That's how these kingdoms formed, and that's why we have the 2v2v2. But by virtue of creating the scenario, we've also sort of, whether knowingly or intentionally or not, created this dynamic where someone is going to get gangbanged. It's always, there's going to be some sort of a 2v1 going on. And let me go back to the map and I can talk through things a little bit, I think, more intelligently here. So when the season started, we were all the way out here, and we had to make a mad dash. If you watch one of my previous videos, I talk about it, to get to Lorien because Dobie came up and challenged it, like they were going to take it before us. Meanwhile, Det pinched us for towards Isengard. So there's that. Before they formed the kingdom, it was we got 2v1 anyway. Sella was up here, so it was a pure 2v1 between Dobie, Det, and Utes. And we managed to persevere and prevail. And, we got Lorien, and the kingdom was made. And we started fighting in Undeeps. We got pretty far into Undeeps. We were probably about a stone's throw away from the Undeeps keep. And Gods was also attacking in the Undeeps. And from SAV side, we came from Lorien side, and Det and Dobie were chilling there. And we had some nice fights there for a little while. But we received kind of some uh, negative feedback, complaints. I don't know what the right word is, because I don't want to paint it like complain, like crying or anything like that. But Dobie and Det were fighting a multiple front engagement at that point. This is before Gods and Eilil had teamed up. So Eilil was over here attacking. The Red Kingdom I talked about earlier here. They had taken Barad-dûr, and I think Det was over here helping. So it was like Yudes are here, Gods are there, and it's really just Dobie here, and Det's having a hard time with Eilil and all these teams. There's a lot going on down here, so it was like complicated. And we decided, to respectfully, back away from Undeeps, even though we we could have probably taken it. And I think a lot of folks within Yudes had kind of an expectation that we were going to, but we decided to listen and not attack the keep. And within a few days, I think um, we were pretty much kicked out of Undeeps, and we had decided, we empathized with the Dobie Kingdom, so we prepared and launched an assault against Gods uh, in SAV. And this was we attacked, and it was maybe a few days after Eilil came on board, because at first Eilil was pretty resistant to the idea of coming to the center of the map at all. They wanted to just kind of stay and play like a different game out in the fringes of the map, but Gods was able to convince them to join their kingdom and bring them to the center of the map. They were en route to do that. They were starting to matriculate into SAV when we hit it. We launched a full scale blitzkrieg, and we got pretty close to that keep, and then they popped the old kingdom no reinforcements buff on SAV, and we got kicked out. Now, from here, things get a little bit fuzzy because I was kind of on vacation during this time. So I don't know all the nuance of what discussions were had and who talked about who and who didn't talk about who and if there was any deals made. I don't know. And frankly, it's water under the bridge and I don't care. But the bottom line is Det and Dobie continued to attack us in Lorien, whereas they could have opened up another front against Gods to kind of further facilitate the 1v1v1, but they full court press into Lorien from Undeeps, and we just attacked Gods, so they were well within their right to say, we're going to attack you back. And this time they had Eilil with them, because when we attacked SAV, Eilil wasn't really set up there yet. But after they got into Lorien, there was a period, it took them a little bit of time to push, to retake everything that we had attacked in SAV. And then we held firm at the crossing between SAV and Lorien for probably, I want to say it was somewhere between 24 and 36 hours. Maybe it was 2 days. It was a little bit where we were hanging out there while they prepared themselves, and then they pushed in, and we were the bearers of 2v1, except for it was kind of at the time more like 4 versus 1.5. It was hard because I mean this was before Sella had recruited up to 100. They had just came on board themselves. not too long before Eilil came over to Gods, um, and they were about 40 or 50 players, maybe 60 players at the time. Not all active, not all organized. They started, coming over into Lorien and helping with us during all the fighting there, and there was a lot of fighting there. I want to say probably a week. It was a solid 2v1 in Lorien, and the fighting was fierce for sure. It was rough. Um, I got uprooted. I don't remember who uprooted me though. I didn't look. I was asleep when it happened, I think. But yeah, it's been a crazy season. And so eventually, I don't know if there was a nap or an agreement or any sort of coordination between God's God's Isle Kingdom and Det Dobi Kingdom, but they eventually did start fighting each other also in Lorien. And then we popped the no reinforcement buff and for the most part cleaned them all out. And then Det and Dobie went and kind of sneak attacked Dol Guldur and took it. There was no contest for Dol Guldur. There was no discussion about having a contest for Dol Guldur. Um, so, I mean, technically they didn't break any rules by taking it, but at the same time, when you're on, a coordinated server, you would expect some sort of an arrangement to be made that would result in some sort of a ring fight to make it kind of an epic battle there and not just some team kind of ninjaing that shit, early in the morning someday, which is kind of what happened. So after they took DG, no one was particularly happy with that. So um, that was when some agreements were made, and we're working now to set up the fair and ring battle that will not be interfered with. That is the goal, and I'm not telling anyone anything in this video that hasn't already been told to Det and Dobie leadership. Um, so I appreciate our conversation this morning, Yarity, and I want to be sure that I'm not trying to. It is not my intention to create any sort of vitriol or negative viewpoint towards your teams. That's important to me that I'm explicitly stating that because um, I like all the people on the server, and I'm sure after the server we'll all kind of part ways and do our own things. But I hope that we can, in spite of all of the frustration that we I think have shared this season, I hope we can all remain friends. So, any rate, that's kind of what's going on with the season. That's my recap. That's how we got here. I talked about the human aspect of the game and some of the stuff that happened, and my sequence of events could be off. It's been a really really busy last couple of months, so if I got anything out of order or incorrect, I would urge anyone with the first-hand knowledge to leave a comment on this video. And if you think that I'm wrong but you don't have first-hand knowledge, I'm always open to people leaving their feedback and their perspective, because um, maybe I'm a weird dude in this day and age, 2024, but I like to talk things through and have the discussion, even if we end up agreeing to disagree, and we have our own perspectives that aren't going to shift. You know, I still think it's worth having the discussion and going through the motions and coming to that arriving at that end point together, because even if two people don't end up agreeing, by having the conversation you're still building a relationship, and that's what Lord of the Rings is all about. That's what fellowship is all about, and that's what Tolkien's literature really, the driving force is that in a world of good versus evil, there should always be, the bonds of fellowship and kindness and love driving to some degree our decision making. And that's all I wanted to say about that. I mean, that's the season. I also talked about those technical limitations with DG and the springs there and the fortresses and the 24 hours to build a fortress in enemy land and all that junk. Um, it's it's been a tough season due to all of those kind of circumstances, and I think that frustration and that stress really is shared across all of the kingdoms in this server. And hopefully some adjustments to the game will occur that'll make it better. And if not, then hopefully everyone in their next season can apply corrective and preventative action so that, you know, whatever the frustrations and stresses of your next season may be, they won't be like this one. Because I know for sure, like this season compared to last season, it's very different stress. Like last season, it was stressful because there was kind of the four kingdom balance, and it was like we were all kind of compressed fighting in Undeep's 4 or 5 weeks straight. Like that's stressful. And the diplomacy was stressful because like everyone was so good at, you know, what's the right word? Advocating for their team's interests. I don't think that there was really as much collaboration as there could have been, and I think in some ways this season is similar in that regard, where like all all of the teams on the server are very good and talented at advocating for their needs. Um, the collaboration could have been tighter for sure. From the pre server planning, and as the server developed, and even today, I think there's always opportunities to improve in that area. Nothing is ever perfect, but it is what it is, and hopefully it'll be better going forward. And um, I hope that this video was helpful and insightful in some way to paint the picture from my lens as to what has gone on in my 15th season playing Lord of the Rings Rise to War. I want to throw some shout outs in addition to Yurdi, King Under the Mountain, Ares, Reese, Hazy, Stuff, Odin, Bulk, Simon, All Things Middle Earth, and Ogre. I'd also like to throw some shout outs to my friends and youths like DP, CP, Vanilla, my boy Batukas the Wise, Morgoth, Darkness, fellow of the Rings, of course. Check out his channel if you haven't already. Ericano, my boy Ericano, and D-Trope. Hope you're all doing well. Couple of new folks I'd like to throw some shout outs to. Like D-Max, Loco, Bojan, Puis, Suna. I talk about your names very often, but I wanted to make sure I don't just keep giving the same people shout outs, because that makes me seem unusually biased, doesn't it? Avarik, Razor, my boy Razor, Terror, Wife of Terror. Y'all are top notch. Gibby, love you guys. I appreciate, internally and externally, just like the amount of conversation that happens over the course of a season. It's insane. It's got to be thousands upon thousands of lines of text in Discord, channel over channel. So every season is certainly unique and different, and this one is no different from any of the others in that regard, as it's quite unique. But we'll see how this ends up playing out. Like I said, we're collaborating and working towards achieving a fair, balanced, fun war for Dol Guldur with the gods in Eilil Kingdom. It's going to take a little bit of work to facilitate, because the Det and Dobi Kingdom is full court pressing into the gods' kingdom and not touching us really at all. And as a result, the gods are having a hard time taking this region over here, which is kind of what we need to make sure that it'll take at least a day or two, like a solid probably 55 to 60 hours for Det and Dobie to be able to move up and retake this region and then come in here and then take that region to be even connected to Dol Guldur. They won't be able to use their no reinforcement buff without that connection. So that would buy us at least about 55 to 60 hours to conduct our ring war, which one would hope would be enough. You don't know. Like how long do you think the ring war is going to take? I don't know. Put a blindfold on me and try to get me to pin the tail on a donkey's ass. It's the same thing. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. It's not something that you can predict unless you're like Miss Cleo and you got some sort of a crystal ball, which I don't have. I'm Turgon the Wise, not Turgon the Fortune Teller. Okay, that's kind of what's going on, what we're working towards, and it's going to be what it is. And 2 weeks from today, it's all going to wrap up or be wrapped up. So, in my next video, I will be, doing some sort of a recap of the season, and I'll let you know how all this turns out. At any rate, I'd like to thank you all for taking the exorbitant amount of time required to reach this point of the video, as I have sat here rambling on and on for quite a while. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your support. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, feedback, etc. And as always, take care of yourselves and stay well. Best of luck to everyone the rest of the way on this server. Um, it's been a crazy server, so let's try to make the most of it coming down the stretch here. All right, my friends, thank you so much. Turgon the Wise signing off. Cheers.